Hey, gun people! I'm gonna do a crazy cop story. When I was stationed at the dog center, boys have already had their little breakfast, so they're just in there chilling out. I don't know what time it is, maybe 6:30, 7 a.m. It's got a nice sunrise coming up. Nice red, good Texas sunrise. So let's do this crazy cop story here. Let me see if I can get this damn camera in focus. I might have zoomed in too damn much. Let me zoom out some. Yeah, we'll zoom out a little more. Sorry, I'm having camera difficulties because I was trying to get the sunrise. Alright. So let's, this is about for canine. In the military, the Air Force buys the dogs for all branches of service. And the dogs fall under the security police branch or security police organization in the military. So the cops pretty much run the dog program for all branches as far as training goes. You know, the dog school is run by the Air Force. We have other instructors that come from other branches, but it's mainly run and administrated by the Air Force. So the Air Force is the buying branch for dogs for the entire military. So they sell to the Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, Customs, whatever. Everybody goes to that school. And it's down in Lackland. And they have different schools. You know, they have the patrol dog, to where the dog learns to sit down, attack, and all that other stuff for just patrol purposes. And then they have the drug program, to where they find drugs. And they have the bomb program, to where they find bombs. Just a little rabbit back there. And then, you know, they have the fruit and nut program, to where they teach the customs dogs to find the fruit and nuts. And, I mean, there's different programs for different dogs training. So, as a cop, if you're canine, there's a possibility. I think it's starting to rain out here. I hear the little tin roof. You know, that's Texas weather for you. The weather says like 10% chance of rain. It's raining. I'll get 90% and the sun will be out. Won't get a drop. So, so if you're a cop, because the branch down in Lackland, I think Lackland has something, I don't know, when I was working there, they had something like 400 to 600 dogs. So they have this huge kennel area. Well, if you're a canine handler, getting assigned down at Lackland is kind of a big deal, because then you'll get to go to all the training. Normally, if you go through canine school, you get sent to base. You don't get certified on drugs and get to go to drug school unless, you know, somebody likes you, or they need you in a special, or you prove yourself as a dog handler, and then they'll send you back to go to drug school, because that's more training. That's another 9 weeks they can't use you. You got to go to school, train your dog. And then if you get drug school, you'll rarely ever get bomb school, because it's just too much money, and they look, we've already trained you for attack dog and patrol dogs, now we've given you drug dogs, we're not going to send you bomb too. Well, if you get down to Lackland and you work at the dog center, because you're at the dog center, they can squeeze you in when they have openings. If somebody doesn't show up to a class and there's an opening, they'll grab somebody from the dog center. So that's a benefit of being stationed down there. So I got stationed there, and I don't know how the hell I got stationed. Somebody goes, oh, you have to be special. Somebody must have put your name in because you're good. It's probably just some, you know, camaraderie thing to make you think you're special. I think they just pull freaking names out of a hat. But anyway, I don't know how the hell I ended up there, but I got stationed there. So we're walking at the dog center, and you don't really do a lot of police work at the dog center. I mean, when I was stationed there was a couple operations that they grabbed us to go work. One was the Shah of Iran. When we got him out of Iran and we were protecting him and hiding him, he was going to, I think it was Wilford Hall is the name of the hospital out there. When he was there, they grabbed a bunch of us, and we had to supplement, and we got special duty to go over there and guard him and protect him while he was out there, because everybody wanted to kill him, I guess. U.S. sticking their nose in other people's business. But I digress. So at the dog center, yeah, it's good experience to get down there, because when you go down there, you're dealing with, I mean, you name it. If there's a problem, when you got 600 dogs, you're going to have issues. You're going to have badass dogs, you're going to have good dogs, you're going to have crazy dogs, you're going to have, and also at the dog center, if you're at the dog center, you go out on what's called a buy team. So every month or 2 months or so, they go to a different area, and they advertise in a newspaper and say, hey, military's going to be here buying dogs on this weekend. If you have a dog, and they give you the things, you know, between 1 and 3 years of age, can't have this, got to weigh this. They give you all the specs to it, and they go, if you want to sell your dog, we're paying up to, I want to say it was $500,000. I can't remember exactly, but it was pretty good pay for a dog. I mean, we had people literally that would go to the pound and get dogs and bring them out there and see if we'd buy them. So, and we wouldn't go to the pound, so I mean, it didn't matter to us. It was government money. They just paid them if we liked the dog. And we would test and evaluate the dog, and we'd go way out in the field and fire a gun, make sure the dog didn't pee on himself, make sure he didn't turn a lot of dogs. Man, that was scary shit, man. You go on these buy programs and you got these dogs you don't know shit about. You just got somebody that got him in the back of the car with a leash around his neck, and they're like, you can get him out, he's a little aggressive, and you got to get this dog out of the car, and he's trying to bite you, and you're swinging him and keeping him off you, and so you know he's aggressive towards you, so then they fire a gun and make sure he doesn't pee his pants, and then he tries to attack you because the gun, I mean, it was crazy. I mean, I've got so many freaking dog bites in my medical record where dogs have bit me. It's crazy. But anyway, if you're at that dog center, man, you learn how to handle a dog. You know how to get a badass dog off you and handle a dog. So when you're out there, a lot of your routine is to take care of the dogs. There's 600 dogs. There's a lot of dogs going to the vet. They need to get physicals, checks, and all these dogs at the vets at the dog center down there, they're going out to other bases. They may be going to the Marines, they may be going overseas, so it's just a big holding shipping ground for training and for sending dogs out in the field. And when I was there, I was lucky enough, they sent me through drug school. They sent me through bomb school first. I went through bomb school, and then a drug dog needed in Ohio came up, and they go, hey man, they need a handler with a drug dog in Ohio. Who wants to go to Ohio? I was like, I'll go, shit. And so they sent me to drug school, and I got to work my dog Herc and bring my dog with me to Ohio. Great stinking dog. Died after I left. Bad story. I don't want to talk about it. But anyway, so it's good to be down there for training, but you don't really get a lot of law enforcement work unless you go on these temporary assignments where they need an excess of cops, so they snag you from this area. So at this school, and this is just, I don't even know if they do that now. Shit, they might have the handlers down there wearing pink and freaking singing to the dogs. But when I was there, it was kind of a, best of the best, macho, we're at the dog center, we can handle any dogs, we're a bunch of badass, 20-year-old, 17, 18-year-old kids that can handle any dog. So we would get dogs that need to go to the vet, and there were, I mean, you get all these dogs out there, and people think it don't get cold in Texas, but we'd have to go out there and chip water bucket or ice out of the water bucket, make sure the dogs had fresh water because the water would freeze at night. And I mean, it got cold sometimes, and a dog, because they sweat through their pads and their little nutsack will put out moisture, and when they lay down on that cold concrete, even though they had a little pallet or something to lay on, someone would just lay on the concrete, and it got cold, their nuts would freeze to the concrete. And so they would do one of two things. They would either stand up and rip their nutsack off, and then we'd have to catch them and get them to the vet, and these dogs weren't happy, or they would be stuck and they couldn't stand up, so they would be pissed. So when they try to stand up, they felt the pain, and they'd say sitting down because their nuts were frozen to concrete. So we'd have to go in there and either try to hose it or somehow release them and catch them. And I mean, these dogs, there was this one sergeant down there, I can't remember his name, but he would get, because we had a break room, we'd go in there, bullshit, tell dog story, we'd be out there grooming dogs, training dogs, working with problem dogs. If they had a dog kicked out of the training program, they said this dog couldn't do it, they sent him back to the dog center, and we'd kind of work out some problems, work with it, and say, okay, we think he's ready to go back to school, so we just send him back to school. So this one sergeant used to, especially the new guys that came in, once you were there for a while, you learned to keep your mouth shut. In the military, you're taught never to volunteer for shit. And, because you volunteer, you're going to get screwed. So it seems awkward. You would think they'd want people to volunteer and they'd want you to. But you know what? If they ask for volunteers, you're going to get screwed. But anyway, so there was this one dog that was just a freaking Tasmanian devil, and a couple people tried to go get him, and they couldn't get him out. And they had the vision, there was kind of like the medical side and the training side, and sometimes you would switch or you would fill in or where you were assigned to the day. So the medical guys were like, we can't get this dog out. So they came to the other side and they're like, man, how are we going to get, one of the other sergeants, the master sergeant that was out there was like, how are we going to get one of these knuckleheads to go in there and get this dog because he's a badass and we're going to tell him he's scared off the other guys? And the sergeant goes, I'll handle it. So he goes back to the break room, and there's, I don't know, 4 or 5 of us sitting around bullshitting, you know, we got our leashes, everybody's got their leash, because there's always a loose dog, somebody gets bit, they drop the leash, the dog's charging around, running people, we got to go out there and try to catch it. So there's always, so your leash was almost like your gun, you always had your leash and choke chain, because you didn't know what some crazy dog was going to get loose, and you'd have to loop him and defend yourself. So, we're all sitting around in here, and he comes in, he goes, hey guys, who's the best handler in here? And of course, we're all cocky guys. Everybody's like, shit, I am, oh, fuck you, you're. So we start calling each other's names and we start arguing. So he's just sitting there letting us get all worked up, and he goes, well, here's the story. There's a dog out there and freaking Pansy's over on the vet side can't get him out. And they said none of you guys could get him out. So every one of us grab, oh fuck, get that motherfucker, give me that leash on. So we all go running out. And the sergeant's standing at the door and he's just shaking his head laughing. And the sergeant goes, I told you I'd handle it. So he had all us dummies running out there to get that. And man, this dog was a freaking, I don't know what they did to him or whatever, but you know, dogs and horses and a lot of animals, when they do something that works, they tend to keep doing that. And this dog did not want a leash on him and didn't want to go to the vet for whatever reason. He didn't want to come out of that cage. And so, I mean, there was 4 of us, and we had one guy on one side trying to agitate him and scrape the fence to get him to look at him, so one of us could open the gate, and you know, you stick your arm through with a leash, and he's coming back and he's trying to get your arm, and you're pulling, you're trying to get a loop over his head, and when he finally, you know, usually he grabs a leash, he starts chewing it, and then you got to fight for your leash back. And then sometimes we'd trick them and we'd give them a leash if they wanted to bite, and they would chew, and we'd have another leash over our arm, so while they're chewing on that one, we would slip the other leash around their head, keep them chewing on that one so we could grab that. And then you got to hang him up, you got to keep him away because he's jumping. As long as you keep him off his front feet, he normally can't jump to you. If he can jump in, you got to spin so the centrifugal force will keep him flying away from you. And man, we ended up getting this dog out. I don't remember if he bit 1 or 2 people, but he got a couple people, and we finally got him out, and we came back. Yeah, damn, pussy's over on the vet side, couldn't get this dog out. We got him out. We had blood, people bleeding, but we got that dog out. And man, I'll tell you, man, I look back at some of the shit we did. I mean, there were dogs that people would call down there in the San Antonio area because they knew there was a dog center, and they knew there were people that could handle dogs, so they would call down there sometime and say, hey, I've got a dog and he's really bad, and you know, if one of you guys would come out here and help me, I just want to give him some shots at the vet, but I can't get him out of the cage, and the vet said he's too aggressive and we can't do anything with him. Hi, Moki! Moki just came run out. So we would go out and say sure. They'd call down there, they'd give it to one, hey, who wants to make 20 bucks? This guy's got a badass dog. Be like, shit, I need 20 bucks, I'll take it. So you go out, and these people would have these, I mean, this one dog, I remember I had to loop his ass, and he was trying to snag me, and I was spinning, the owner's like, looking like, what the hell? And I finally get him off, and I get him by a fence, and I hang him up, and I run the leash through the fence, and then I go to the other side, like a gate that opens. So I got the leash through, and then I closed the gate on myself, and I just grabbed him and pulled his neck to the fence. So I'm holding him, and he's, and I've got him here, and I'm like, okay, this is how we're going to do it. So the vet comes out, walks to the rear, he's in the front end, but I've got this secure. The vet comes in from the back, grabs his tail, sticks a needle in his ass, gives him a couple shots, goes, okay, I'm done. So I let him go, and I give him back to the owner, and he goes, oh man, thanks a lot, man. He goes, I appreciate it. I was expecting him to go, oh, you're too aggressive. You know, that was back in the 80s when we still had men that were men, and everybody didn't wear pink shirts and run around freaking playing with dolls. So, you know, he was like, hey, you got to do what you got to do. This dog's going to bite somebody. I got no problem with what you did. Nowadays, you freaking have PETA and a bunch of damn women protesting you for animal abuse. But anyway, I digress. So working at the the dog center was an experience. Although we were cops and we did some police work every once in a while when they needed us, most of the time we were dealing with crazy dogs, going to the training center, dogs getting loose, vet care, brushing the dogs, training problem dogs, getting them ready so they could go to class, kind of improving their chances of success. Because when a dog goes through the training program, the handler gets this dog, and we want the dog and the handler to succeed so they can go to the next base and you know, do their thing. So it doesn't do us any good if we wait 9 weeks or 11 weeks on a guy going through the school with a dog and then the dog fails. And normally when the dog fails, it's the handler's fault. Just like in horses, I always say it's never the horse's fault. Well, it's not the dog's fault. Normally, you know, because the handler is learning with the dog, and when you have two people learning, it's dependent that they both get good instruction and they know what they're doing. Otherwise, one or both are going to fail. Well, after spending 11 weeks with a person, they normally didn't fail the people unless they just didn't listen and they were argumentative and didn't want to learn and did everything backwards and did some safety things. They would pass most of the people, but a lot of times the dogs would be like, nope, send him back to the dog center. And then they'd have a little sheet on him, and his little folder, his little rap sheet would be, he chewed up 4 handlers, won't come out, something like that. And so we'd go out there, we'd work with it, we'd do all kind of crazy shit trying to get him to where he'd listen and distract him to get him so he would come out when you said out. Out was the command to stop biting or stop chasing, turn around. So anyway, that's my crazy cop story working at the dog center. That sun kind of got bright there, didn't it? I don't know if y'all could see me, buddy, listen to the cop stories like, Dad, why are you talking about beating up dogs? Boy, you're a good boy. Dad won't beat you. You're a good boy. Mr. T's getting a little salt block over there in the morning. He likes his little salt after he has a little alfalfa in the morning. Sometimes he goes for the white salt, other times he goes for the brown mineral. He's going for the mineral block now. So anyway, and there's Moki over there, distracting me, running around, scratching. Moki Moke! What are you doing, Moki? Moki, say hi to YouTubies. Whatever, dude. Alright, we'll end out there with Buddy's cute little face. Hi, Buddy boy.